Listeners of Afri-Radio, good afternoon and welcome to yet another brand new thing. We're coming your way. Codes of Africell, the Gambia's biggest GSM service provider. Musa Sise is my name. This I call the hour because it's a rare moment in which we have in our midst, and of course in a very good company this afternoon. And probably by hearing his little intro and bio, we'll be impressed as to in whose company I am this afternoon. The gentleman I am about to talk to is called Dr. Peter Baofu, and who is an author of 102 theories and 122 scholarly books as from August 2017, and numerous and provide clear vision on the conventional wisdom in all fields of knowledge. He's a gentleman who has his acquired or received his PhD in political science from the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, Dr. Baofu, and an entry into the list of prominent and emerging writers in contemporary authors, and as a U.S. Fulbright scholar in the Far East. He had taught as a professor at different universities in Europe, the Middle East, America. He finished more than 5 academic degrees, including a PhD in political science from MIT, and was a summa cum laude graduate. Let me welcome this immense landed gentleman. Peter, welcome to Afri-Radio.
Thank you for inviting me.
How do you feel being here and being talked about in this manner?
I feel great to have the opportunity to talk to you about these different visions of mine in my publications and my travels.
Does it make you feel humble? Because academics today is as big as the world it is. But do you count yourself as a lucky somebody, or as just a hard worker or a determined individual?
I think that there's a combination of all of them and something else too. It's very lucky for me. I think it's a privilege for me to be able to travel to more, live in so many of them, and try to understand life from a different perspective all over the world. So that is, I think, is a privilege. But of course, there's also a question of hard work too that I have been doing to engage in a massive project to understand humanity in that sense.
Okay. Before we go into the project, are you on a mission of some sort?
Not in the sense of being sponsored by a government.
No.
But in the sense of an intellectual passion.
Exploration.
Yes, exploration about life all over the world. I could have been in a library and just do research by reading books. I can do that too. But I choose to just go to different parts of the world in order to understand and observe life as it is on the ground. That can help me understand life much better that way in the totality than it could be otherwise by reading books.
All right. Peter, let me just, before we go into anything that has to do with academics right now, I just want this very ordinary listener out there who is listening to us, who wants to know you. Who is Peter?
Well, I am a person of many things. I am an author. My intellectual project is to understand humanity in its totality, not just from one perspective, let's say political science, economics, sociology, but also biology, chemistry, mathematics, philosophy, religion, and so on and so forth, in all domains of knowledge. And that's why I have written more than 122 books now and proposed more than 103 theories with different visions about the future life on Earth and elsewhere in all domains of knowledge. So this, I think, is the definition, the mission or the passion of Peter Baofu in its essence.
Okay. Now, Peter Baofu, of course, you mentioned a lot of subject lines in which, I think anyone interested in what academics about can choose and follow. How did this thing got to you? How did it got to you?
Well, I think that there are two major reasons. One is genetic and the other one is environmental. Genetic in the sense that ever since I was a little kid, I was very curious about things. I was very passionate to understand why things happened in the way that they do. So I keep asking a lot of people about my parents or some other people and say, why is this, why is that? But I have at that time, I did not receive any answer which satisfied me. So I said to myself that when I grow up one day, I am going to pursue an academic life to understand all these kind of fundamental questions which have bothered me at that time, and they still do. And I think that is a major explanation about why I have been doing something like this. Another one is environmental, which means that I have the support of my family. I have been in many of a very good environment. I was educated in some of the top schools in the world, including MIT, for example, and I have been in many other top schools too, and I worked in many of them too. So I have that kind of privilege, and I think that this is a combination of these two fundamental reasons.
Academic and environmental.
Yeah.
Environmentally, was it a challenge?
Yes, but I think that the first reason helps me a lot is my genetic. I do think that I have a very unusual mind, and which allows me to see things and to do things in a way that many other people cannot. Even when I was at MIT, for example, I took only 3 courses, and later on I was rewarded a PhD. Have you ever heard anyone who has taken only 3 courses and get a PhD from MIT or many of the top schools? I mean, I have done a lot of things in my life which are very unusual. So the environment benefits me, but the other one is my genetic, which is also benefiting me too. Okay. So 2 of them work together. Yeah.
Okay, because you brought in genetics, I just wanted to go, I want to take you back as to what is that, you want to understand genetically that has benefited you so much. Let's go back to the men and women who were responsible for your parents.
Yeah, they do. I'm very privileged to have my family who encouraged me and supported me to pursue intellectual professions. And I think that this is something that I recommend to a lot of families to support their children if they want to do something which is very intellectual. I'm sure that in the future, if I ever have a family myself, I could do the same thing and encourage my children to do whatever they would like to do in what they do the best.
Interesting. Peter, how was your childhood?
My childhood is a larger combination. I was in different continents. I was also not just that I was in the U.S. I spent most of my life in the U.S. I also was educated in the U.S. I grew up there too. I also spent some time in Europe. I was also educated in France. I was also in Vietnam too at one point. And I was also in China for the Fulbright scholarship that I told you. And besides, I have traveled to many other countries. So I think that all these experience from childhood on have taught me a very multicultural understanding of life, a very multidimensional understanding of life. So, and that's it maybe one of the major reasons that I have been in so many topics and have been in so many other countries. And whatever I try to understand, they always come from a very different sources of information and perspectives. And I never focus on only one of them and say that is the reason. For example, Karl Marx, for example, used to talk about class struggle because he is so obsessed with that. I'm not like that. Or Freud is very interested in sexuality and talk about that too. And I'm interested in that too, but I'm not that obsessed with that. So whatever the visions, I have a lot of different visions about the future. And my analysis of those visions and understanding is very comprehensive, multiple perspectives and causes.
I will come to Max a little bit and his theories because I saw that you wrote a little bit also on wealth and poverty. And, and of course, Freud is an interesting because you went into psychology and Sigmund Freud there really, touches on you. What is your strength, for example? What is Peter's strength?
Yeah, I think that my biggest strength is my ability to understand a lot of topics, not just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 disciplines, but from all of them. I have the ability to go to any subject, any discipline, and try to understand them, incorporate them into a comprehensive understanding of life. And that's why 2 of the 103 theories that I have so far is what I call unified theories of everything. Not theory, but theories. And 2 of them, one at the ontological level, the other one at the methodological level. And I provided that. and to try to unify all of them. This requires, for example, a understanding of all fields of knowledge, and that's why I have written 122 books so far in all fields of knowledge and try to unify them. That's a good example of my biggest strength, that no one has done that before in that sense.
Does that make you feel any different from the normal human being that we all are?
Yes and no. I think that I have a large affinity with the rest of the human population. I share many of their values and beliefs, and I have been in so many cultures. I live with those people. So I also know that I'm part of them. I share a lot of things that they believe into. But on the other hand, I also understand how different I am from the rest of them, because not just because of my life experience, but also of my education, but also of my visions and my understanding and my intellectual passion. So in that way, I stand out a lot. But on the other hand, I'm also part of that humanity that I have been telling you. You cannot get away from it. It is part of you.
It's good to have you talking to us, and I know I would love to have you last words.
Africa, all the best about the future. I have written about them too. I think that they have a future, but on the other hand, there are also a lot of problems that they have to confront, but that's true about everyone on earth. So I wish you all the best.
Thank you.
In Afri-Radio, and also I wish Africa all the best.
Thank you so much, Peter. There was, I call him a polymath because I think he is, anyone like him should be a polymath. That was Dr. Peter Baofu, an author of 102 or 3 new theories and 122 scholarly books, all different fields, talking to us here on Afri-Radio. Musa Sise is my name, and on behalf of AfriCell and everyone here in Afri-Radio, I want to wish you all a very, very pleasant day. Thank you so much for being with us.